Hey folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. We're in the dark, aren't we? Wow. Kind of looks great. You know, I'm looking at the camera right now and it's really sepulchral and very Stygian. It might look different to you guys. Pretty heightened and brightened. You can see all of me spots and all of me weirdness. But right now, it's looking really good. Really atmospheric. Anyway, right, Stephen King. Yeah, oh God. Written diarrhea. Great many novels which are all masterpieces, and then just, oh God, endlessly churning them all out. This is a guy that wrote several novels whilst totally pissed at a fart and coked off his titties and doesn't remember any of them at all, including this one. Cujo, the big rabid St. Bernard dog. Yes. Not one of my favourite books of his, I'll be honest. Although I admire his attempts with it. Although the guy himself, Mr. King, will have no idea why he came up with this and what it was to do with and why it came out the way it did. There's one small sort of thing he did remember. He went to go to someone's garage with his car one time and was confronted by the garage owner's dog, who was super friendly, but Stephen King didn't know it at the time and was like, because he was coked off his tits and just on a different plane and like, oh my God, this dog's gonna devour me. The dog's 40 foot tall. But it gave him the idea, the impetus for Cujo, the tale of a loving, dosing family dog, a huge, massive, St. Bernard dog, man's best friend. These things save you out in the Alpines. They have a little barrel of brandy round their necks, They did do. And apparently in some parts of the Alps, they still do. Don't quote me on that if you get lost up there. Don't go expecting that. And he puts his nose into a little nook and a cranny, and a rabid bat bites him, and our loving, dosing family dog becomes a slavering, bloodthirsty beast, and then lays siege to, a mother, a nefarious mother who's been having an affair. Naughty girl, but she's there with their son, a young son, Tad, or Tadder as they call him, and they get stuck in their car. People are getting, anyone tries to rescue them gets offed by this dog. And if they try to escape, the dog's going for them. And it's frothing at the mouth and, it's just, it's bloody big, And they get stuck in this car in Maine, of course. It's always Maine, isn't it? Because Stephen King can't think of any other place beyond Maine. And the heat is intense. So not only have they got the threat of the dog, they're dehydrating and they're dying in the car. And the ending is quite tragic, to be honest. Now, I shall be hugely honest here, and I say I don't like the book. I went off Stephen King a long time ago. The greats, I still think are great. The Shining, Carrie, The Stand, Christine. Love those, and Cycle of the Werewolf, Silver Bullet as we know it. I love that. And there's other bits of his oeuvre that I've loved. And the transition from his books to movies hasn't always been great. In fact, it's been mostly shite. If you look at the overall arc of his adaptations to movies, they've been piss poor. Yes, there's it. Yes, there's The Shining. And of course, I love The Shining. Carrie, Brian De Palma is awesome. But then you get things like Maximum Overdrive. Oh, and no, don't. It's not a good film. It's fun, but it's not a good film at all. Christine, John Carpenter's a great version. Oh God, Dreamcatcher. The Mist is great it is actually great at the end, but the build up to it is really annoying. And look, we could spend forever and a day discussing Stephen King's books and Stephen King's book to movie adaptations, and you've all given opinions. I did not like Cujo as a book, and I did not like Lewis Teague's 1981 adaptation of it. 83, The book came out in 81, I think, and then 83, Lewis Teague. Lewis Teague, who had done Alligator. I've reviewed it. I've done a massive review of it. I've covered it a lot on the channel. Massive fan of it. Cat's Eye, another Stephen King anthology. Cat's Eye. Drew Barrymore and the little troll in the fucking skating board. Oh my god, I love that movie. I've reviewed that as well. And Lewis Teague as a director is great, but the material here was so threadbare that there's just nothing to work with. And you had, what's her name from? She's E.T. Well, not E.T.'s mum. She's the mum in E.T. Elliot's mum. Oh god, and I love it a bit as well. And I thought, oh no, Dee Wallace. I've written it down here. Dee Wallace, who's also in The Hills of Eyes and of course The Howling, only a couple of years before, and she's great. A scream queen, a genre icon, and she plays the mother Donna. And you got Tad, and they get stuck in the car and all this. But it's so... it's boring. The scenario I find very boring. And also, I am automatically, morally averse to this kind of story. Why? And I make no bones about this. I'm a dog lover. You guys know this. And there'll be news on the dog front in the next few months. It's happening, folks. It's happening. But anyway, back to the main menu. I don't like seeing dogs in jeopardy. Hate that. Ruins anything for me. Yeah. Hey, that's me. I don't mind seeing humans get sliced and diced, disemboweled, chainsawed, eviscerated. Even for real. But I see an animal get hurt. No. That makes me very angry. But it's part of the story, and I understand that. Of course I do. And I think that's the point that the massively drunk and completely out of his skull Stephen King was doing. He didn't use a German Shepherd or a Rottweiler or any, potentially, iconically vicious and scary dogs, He used a big friendly, slobbery, big St. Bernard, the least aggressive animal you're ever going to encounter. And he inverted that. That's brilliant. But it's a family dog, and it's the tragedy of watching what happens to that dog. It doesn't want to do what it's doing, but it's succumbing to rabies. By the way, rabies, it's really bad, You get bit, you get scratched, you contract rabies. If you don't get that vaccine into you, and you know me and vaccines, I'm not a big fan, but the rabies vaccine actually genuinely works. It'll save your life. You might still be damaged afterwards. It's got to be administered very quickly indeed. You get hydrophobia, you froth at the mouth, you become afraid of wind and changes in temperature, and you can be aggressive or you can be passive. The passive version means you just go into catatonia, coma, and you will die. The aggressive one, you're agitated, you're irate all the time, you can't stop moving, and you will become aggressive and maybe even attack people, and you're frothing at the mouth. And of course, the werewolf legend, as many people say, the legend of the werewolf is born out by people back in the Dark Ages having rabies or hydrophobia, running about on all fours, howling. I mean, that they probably embellished it with that, but the werewolf legend, and I've discussed this a lot as well, and this isn't just this, but this is just part of it. But it's a very believable part. If people are acting strange and frothing at the mouth and going wild and berserk, howling and scratching about and ripping at their own flesh, which is what rabies also does as well, then werewolf. So burnt at the stake and shot with silver bullets. No, they weren't. Courtesy of Mark only came up with that in 1941 for Lon Chaney's Wolfman. Silver has nothing to do with werewolves in folklore and legendary mythos. Has nothing to do with it, nor the full moon for that matter. But rabies does play a huge part in the whole mythology when you actually break it all down. So rabies is a horrible thing. And just to add another little horrendous fact for you, it results in death in humans 99.999% of the time. Ooh, that's good, isn't it? Not much chance there. If you get bitten by something rabid out in the wilderness, you're fucked. You've got no chance. Most cases of rabies, which is still prevalent in this day and age now, where is it? Where is it? It's India. India, the land of otherwise health and hygiene. Yes, of course, India. Rabies is still rabidly wild there. So, Cujo, the excellently named Cujo, sticks his nose into like a little hole in the ground, and rabid bat bites him. Oh, and then he changes and becomes the nastiest bastard going. So, the film came out '83, Cujo, directed by Lewis Teague, starring Dee Wallace, starring a then husband as well, Christopher Stone, who was also acted alongside it and played a husband in The Howling for Joe Dante a couple of years before. He died. She's still going strong and she's great. But it's, as I say, I don't like it because of the subject matter. I just find it upsetting, and all the thrills and chills and spills are taken out of it for me. That's just me. The film did not do well. It managed to make money, but it was critically sort of mixed. No one was massively enamored with it. At the time, fans weren't too fussed. Stephen King, massive fans and devotees, weren't overly fussed. It came and it went, and then it kind of got a bit of a ground swelling on home video afterwards, as so many movies from the 80s did do. And it's had lavish re-releases now, of course, with boutique labels on home video. But I haven't revisited it. Charles Bernstein's score is lovely. You're hearing it right now. But why are we talking about it? If you're not asked about this movie, Kilt-Man, why are you talking about it? Because they're remaking it. That's why. Well, there was a lengthy introduction to what the whole point of this video is. They're remaking it. Of course they are. Everything gets remade. Nothing is sacred. Nothing is holy. It all gets remade. Redone, revamped, retweaked, rebooted, sidequelled, sequelled, prequelled. So they're going to do it again. And it's going to Netflix. Netflix! Yes. And it's being produced by Roy Lee. Roy Lee. Now, he's done a lot of Stephen King stuff. He's done it. He's been producing or co-producing or exec producing It chapters 1 and 2. Other King stuff which I've forgotten now because I didn't list them down. Got a lot of stuff, a lot of horror stuff. So he's got a track record. There's no director lined up for this. There are no writers lined up for it. The last I heard, which was today, they're looking for writers to adapt King's novel, which is there. And you can see it actually is there behind me in the dark and shadowy gloom. So I don't know where they're going to go with this. Now, Netflix. I don't mind Netflix. I have Netflix. And Netflix are not shy of being nasty. Cast your mind back, well, about 3 years to the reboot of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I've reviewed as well. Super gory, super nasty, but also super slick. And this is my problem in Netflix. They're slick. They're really high glossy and high sheen. They may be nasty and break taboos and that, but things look so super slick and the assembly line that it loses that raw gritty edge which you want from like movies. And even though I'm not a massive fan of Lewis Teague's movie of Cujo, it's cinematic, it's raw, it's not that gory, but it has an unflinching attack bite to it, which, you know, you watch any movie now, especially on Netflix, it's just run of the mill. No matter where they go, it looks super highly edited and polished to a high sheen, high finesse, you know, and it loses the edge, I would say. So this guy, Roy Lee, is going to be producing it. No other names attached to it as yet. Where they're going to go with it? Are you going to adhere to the actual rather constricted, claustrophobic tone of the book and the original movie? The book massively centered around Donna and Tad or Tada and the monster words, you know, stuck in the car, dying of fucking dehydration, and they're exhausted, and this fucking dog is just waiting outside. They can't get out, they can't escape. Big baseball bat gets brought into play, and it has a tragic ending in the book. The film does not go that far. The producers always said back then, no, we can't have King's ending. And King, he was probably sober for one moment. He went, no, you've got to keep that. No, because that's the whole point, you know. And he does a huge sort of an epilogue of how the family, she had an affair, and Eros would get back together again, and things are repatriated, but they grieve over their lost son, who does die of dehydration in the car. And she's done all her best to fight this dog off and try to save him. And it is tragic, of course. But King wanted to keep that in the movie, but they were like, it's too downbeat, you can't do that. And maybe if the film had done that, I might have more respect for it. I apologise. The cough is not as bad. People watching the recent videos will know I've had this horrendous cough. I will now show you. I'm not drinking whiskey. I'm drinking Robitussin. Sounds like some kind of Native American. Robitussin, a dry cough medicine. And yeah, it's tastes lovely. It does say can cause addiction. Oh, fucking great. But I've been all right today. I've coughed about you've heard a couple of coughs there, and I think I've only done like 3 others throughout the entire day. And I've been out for a large chunk of the day, you know, with whiskies and a couple of pints and that. So I'm quite happy with the way things are going. That doesn't mean I'm going to survive the night. Last night, yesterday, Mrs. Kilt-Man said, like, look, you know, I can't have another night like last night. I went, oh, you can't? Because I was cough. And she went, no, I can't go through it again. I said, fucking hell, you know, what can I do? I can't help it. She went, I'll make up a bed for you downstairs. We have servants for this, but Mrs. Kilt-Man liked the personal touch. Made a big duvet downstairs in the front parlour, and I got into it and I tested it out. I thought, actually, this feels really great. This is lovely. And it's such an unusual environment. I thought, wow, I might just do this anyway. And I almost fell asleep. It was that cozy. Then cough, woke me up. Then I went to bed, normal bed, next to her. And 2:30 this morning, I woke up coughing. Yes, way before the spooky hour. The 3:34 when the spook is alive in the mansion. I was awake before then, way before it, and I began to cough. And oh, fuck this. So I just went, oh, right, it's over. And I side butted myself out the bed, got my dressing gown on, shuffled downstairs. My son was still down here playing video games, and I got into the bed, like that. And I was awake for a good couple of hours, coughety cough. And but I felt really cozy. I thought, this is nice. There's no little bony ankles and a bony arse thrust into me. No elbows coming my way. So, might do this more often. Oh, really? Really now? You start doing it now? But then I got up this morning and I was fine. I didn't cough. And I thought, my God, maybe it is. Maybe I'm allergic to Mrs. Kilt-Man. Maybe that's what it is. And anyway, and I've been great all day until now, obviously. But back to the main agenda. Cujo. Are they going to change the dog breed? Are they going to change who the victims are? Are they going to make it nastier? Are they going to add more soap opera stuff to it? As I say, Lewis Teague's movie, it takes an hour before they get trapped in the car or something like that, and then they're trapped, and then the action really happens. You got all this sort of soapy stuff beforehand, building up, get to know the characters. But a new version, are they going to increase the bloodletting, increase the body count, change the dog breed? I can imagine they're going to do all of that. Doesn't mean it's going to make it a better movie. I think making the dog perhaps a more aggressive or, contrived and cliched aggressive breed, a Rottweiler, a German Shepherd. I mean, these dogs are great, by the way. I love them all, as you guys well know. But to make it more aggressive looking, or are they going to keep it with the St. Bernard? I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go with it. I think remaking this is a very, very unusual choice, and not a particularly great one either. Unless you're going to broaden what happens, I don't see what you're going to do that's different. Unless you're going to give the downbeat ending, think of The Mist, and think of the original ending to Cujo. The boy dies as well, and of course the dog gets killed, and it's super, super tragic. The dog doesn't want to do what it's doing. It's got rabies, it's completely infected, and it's gone loopy-loop, which makes it into a monster, obviously. There is, if I remember rightly in the book, there's also talk that, or an idea that the dog's possessed by a serial killer, the serial killer from the Dead Zone, that his spirits infected the dog as well. I could be wrong about that. I'm sure that's in there somewhere. It's not in the movie at all, but I don't know. Is King's name actually that much of a stamp of, wow, this is going to be great? I don't think it is. He's still going strong, he still looks manic and crazy. I'm not too sure if he still vacations here, because he did do. I've told you this before. Down the road, over your left shoulder, there's a road called Penkett Road, and a certain British author who's very, very well renowned, though I know him. He presented me with my only literary award, the Shell Research Prize for Literature, and anyway, that was a real moment of fame and glory for me, and I should return to writing. I really should do. Don't know why I haven't done this, but he told me many years ago, this particular author, Ramsey Campbell, there's his name. He's a very, very erudite sort of voice. He's very oratorial. He's in demand to read his stories out to an audience, and he writes proper English prose with proper grammatical punctuation. And no other author does that these days, but he still does, and it's great. M.R. James and Ambrose Bierce and all the old classical authors, he follows suit with them. This is Ramsey Campbell. But he got to know Stephen King, and Stephen King stayed in his house for a couple of weeks, a few times over the years, back in the 80s. I don't know if they still do this. And Ramsey Campbell went over to his place as well. And so, unbeknownst to everybody around here, Stephen King was floating about, and Ramsey Campbell loves his real ale, and there's certain boozers around here which do the real ale, and he would have introduced Stephen King to the beauties of real ale. So I don't know if that still happens. I really don't. I don't really speak to Ramsey these days. I've never seen him, to be honest with you. But anyway, there's a little connection, a little umbilical cord to this entire the roots of this. But Cujo, like many of King's novels, I really couldn't take to. And I know he's got such a devoted fan base. And we had Salem's Lot, another take on Salem's Lot, which of course I reviewed. I've covered Salem's Lot, the Tobe Hooper TV movie, many times on the channel. And I was looking forward to the long delayed Salem's Lot new version. And in the end, it was a load of shite. Absolute shite. So, you know, and Stephen King himself, who praised it before the film came out. Wow, it's got shocks. It blew me away. It's fucking gonzo. Is he back on drugs and alcohol again? I don't know. Steve, tell me. I don't know. You don't write. You don't text. You don't email anymore. I've lost touch with you. But next time you're out at Ramsey's, just knock round at the Kilt Mansion. Why don't you? I'll lower the drawbridge for you. You'll be all right. But he does this. King does this. Anything that's got his name attached to it, he sees it in advance and he fucking gives it loads. And then you see it and you go, you're an idiot, because it's a load of shite. And he did it for Salem's Lot, and Salem's Lot was fucking garbage. I reviewed it. It was an absolute travesty, as sadly too many adaptations of his work turns out to be. Tobe Hooper's Salem's Lot was fantastic. Better than the book? Well, yeah, because it had Reggie Nolder playing Barlow, and Barlow was far scarier in the TV movie than he is in the bloody book. In the book, he writes a fucking 10-page long letter to all the vampire hunters, and he's lovely and he's erudite and he's quite polite and accommodating, also hinting he's going to kill them all. But it's a far cry from what you see on the Tobe Hooper version, with like the Nosferatu makeup and like the glowing feral eyes and all that, and the shock jump scares. That's better, I would say. So, I don't know, let's turn the music up a little bit, because Bernstein's score for this is actually really good. And of course, Charles Bernstein also did A Nightmare on Elm Street for Wes Craven a couple of years afterwards. But he has a theme here, which is like a family theme and a theme for Cujo. So it's kind of like, it's rural, it's it's heartwarming, but it can transform, as you heard there. It can become more sinister and darker and more brooding and more threatening. So it is a great score, don't get me wrong, but you're hearing the little plaintive tones for Tada. And Tada's dad gives him the monster words. Whenever something scary is coming, say the monster words, you'll be alright. Or just cough instead, you know. So, I don't know, this new version, Roy Lee's doing it. It'll be scheduled probably for next year, but Netflix like to get things, you know, on the fast track. So, this only got announced, I think, yesterday, that they're going to do this. And I wasn't massively surprised, but it also wasn't like, wow, that's going to be great. In fact, it was really not like that. But people have messaged me and said, like, they're doing Cujo again, and I'm going like, oh, well, yeah, okay, well, I'll talk about that then. Could be great. You've got it. For me, it's got to tread a different line. I've got to get over the tragedy of losing a dog and the dog becoming a monster, something I've got to fight against. I don't like that. I struggled with the Thing, as you guys know. My last dog was a husky, an absolute dead ringer for Jed, the Malamute that plays the Thing. There was actually several dogs, but Jed was the main one, and my dog was a dead ringer for him, a Jed ringer. And so the kennel sequence, I really struggle in the Thing. I struggle to watch, because you got McCready blowing huskies away, you know, and it's assimilating all these dogs, and they're yelping and trying to tear themselves out of the wire mesh kennel. I hate it. I don't like seeing dogs in distress. But the film itself is a masterpiece. If Cujo under Lewis Teague's reigns had been a masterpiece, I'd be able to get over that, I would suppose, but I'm not, because the film itself is not that great. King, I admire King for doing something that I did with some of my short stories, which got published, of course, by having bizarre people trapped in a really horrible, a claustrophobic environment, and having to figure a way out, and or in some of my case, fight tooth and nail in a constricted environment against I won't go into all of that. So I admire what he did. Like, I'm going to set most of this inside the confines of a car where they're dying because they're dehydrating, the heat's blistering down, you've got this beast out there. And you can see how he's thought of, even his drunken adult brain, he's going like, how would anyone get out of this? And a lot of his books are like that. People in a really tight environment and have got to figure a way out of it. Look at Misery, again, a similar sort of scenario. So I do admire that. But you've got to really, it's more of a short story than it is a novel. And a short story can make itself into a movie by adding elements, but a novel stretched out, a short story stretched into a novel length, makes it very difficult to adapt into a movie and make it linear, tight and exciting. So I think this new version's got some work cut out for it. You've got to change the narrative of that story, I think. It'd be very difficult if you're gonna keep it the same. So you've got like what an hour of getting to know the characters, and then you've got another hour-ish of them stuck in the car. Well, that's the same old format. It's a Ford Pinto as well. What you've got to add something different. You've got to do something different. Lewis Teague's version is very faithful to the book. It is. Apart from the ending, it does change the ending. The kid dies in the book. They didn't do it in the movie. Would this version do that and give it the epilogue? Would it do that? Which is going to be a bit of a deflation there. I would admire him if he did follow that. But you've got to change what happens to the whole structure of, them being trapped. You've got to bring more people in. And of course, if it's a modern day, you're setting modern day, mobile phones, and like, people are going to know where they are. Back in the 80s, you didn't have mobile phones. Well, if you did, you were like fucking 14 foot tall. So they won't be isolated. Oh, there's no signal here. Oh, that old chestnut. You could always use that, I suppose, but that's boring now. So you have to like move it up, step it up a gear in time. So maybe you've got drones overhead as well, like the dogs circling, and you've got snipers, and some. Oh, God. Well, they'd just take the dog out, wouldn't they? It'd be so simple. Dogs tranquilised or dogs just dead, Okay, you can get out the car now. We're landing, we've got loads of water for you. Are they going to make someone else into more of a villain, so the dog actually is working with somebody? I don't know, I'm spitballing here, I don't know. But I do think they're going to have to change it, because the original version, love it or loathe it, is pretty much faithful to the book. So what are you going to do that's different, apart from change, go to the original ending and the kid dies? I don't know. That word woke suddenly rears its ugly fucking little green snout, and I don't know. Is the mother transgender? I don't know. I don't know. They wouldn't do that, would they? Of course they wouldn't do that, would they? And it's not a dog, it's a cat. Could be. A fucking chihuahua. A pack of chihuahuas. That can be nasty as well, like. Little ankle biters. Yeah, it could be. I don't know. Or maybe it's just going to be the dog dies and it's a swarm of bats besieging them, and the bats with their echolocation and their own little electrical systems for sonar and radar are blotting out the signal from the phone. I'm making this shit up, of course I am. I don't know. Haven't done this all day, and now it's coming out. I have cast aspersions on Stephen King, and now King's vengeance is upon me. Maybe this is the beginning of rabies. If I start frothing at the mouth, well, it wouldn't be that unusual, to be honest. I'm always doing that. It just means I need more whiskey. A lot more whiskey. So, I don't have... I may have hydrophobia, but I don't have whiskey phobia. That's for definite. And I've always got this. Dr. Kilty and his dry cough medicinal from his apothecary, going across the old frontier west, fighting off the Apache and the Sioux and the Cheyenne and the Comanche, selling them firewater, and keeping all my fake medicines for Dodge City and all that. What? Your dog's got rabies? Here you go. Take some of this. And this rifle as well. So, folks, let me know below what you think about a remake of Cujo. Are you a fan of Cujo? The book? Are you? Are you a fan of Lewis Teague's movie? Are you? Do you think this is actually necessary of a remake? Do you? Personally, I take it or leave it. I don't think it's going to be any great shakes. Unless suddenly there's 20 dogs, they just kill one dog, but he bit some other ones, all the local pack, they've all been bitten, and they all come fucking giving it loads. And they attack the town. That would be great. Actually, that would be great. There's your angle. You waited all this time now for me to get the proper angle. 70s eco horror had little townships beset by giant spiders, or little spiders, or alligators, or frogs, or even in one case, mutated rabbits. Yes, Night of the Lepus, and it's weirdly great. Food of the Gods, Empire of the Ants, all this kind of stuff. Small towns beset by critters. You could do with this. So it isn't just, maybe the first half is the mother and the son trapped in the car, and the dogs attacking this, but the dogs bit other things, and then suddenly they think they've got back to safety. The sheriff's department, and the hospital there, the small town, and then suddenly every single animal, including birds, are attacking because they're all rabid. So it's a siege on a bigger scale. So it's Assault on Precinct 13 meets Tremors meets Cujo meets Night of the Lepus meets The Blob. There you go. Now, I'd watch that. That would be great. A rabid grizzly bear. Oh my God, you've had a cocaine bear. A rabid bear. Oh my God. Imagine that. Not just one. Make it 3 rabid grizzly bears. Oh dear. Right, folks. Anyway, I've said my piece on this. I don't know where it's going to go. Netflix. It could be gory. It can have full of be grisly bits and lots of F words and lots of horrible stuff going on. But true to form, it'll be slick and glossy, and it will lack that edge despite what they do. Look at that Texas Chainsaw. It was so out there gore wise, but it was so inoffensive at the same time. It was just okay, it's just Netflix doing we're doing a Texas Chainsaw movie, look at what we do. But it wasn't a patch on anything that's gone before at all. So I don't know with this, but the original, I don't think you've got room to improve. Certainly, this is what I'm saying. I'm not a fan of the book. I'm not a fan of the original movie. So really speaking, this could be bigger and better and a lot more fun, a lot more action to it. You can have your claustrophobia, but as I say, you can have an increased attack at the end. To be honest, that would be a cliche, wouldn't it? That would be what you'd expect them to do. Oh, it isn't just one dog, it's a pack of dogs. Oh, it's a great score. It is. This is revived Tad, and he's dehydrated and dying, but they get some water down him. He chokes back to life. Anyway, Cujo. There was an attempt to do a remake or a sequel to it back about 10 years ago, and Cujo stood for something. Canine. Unit. What's next? C-U-J. Canine Unit Justice Organization. I don't know what the hell it stood for. Canine Unit thing was something. And it's meant to be some kind of corporate bloody thing. I don't know. Like RoboCop, you know. We're putting rabies into these police dogs to make them more aggressive, but we can control them, and then they get out of control, you know. I'm making it up. I've got no idea what the plot was. It never got off the ground. But there's another idea. It's a test dog. Yeah, it isn't a family dog. Now I could get behind that. It isn't a family dog that's gone nasty. I don't want to think like that. It's a test dog. It's a bit more sanitized though, isn't it? It's a bit more obvious. A laboratory. They're doing dogs, war dogs, battle dogs. They pump them with rabies, make them more aggressive. 28 days later meets Cujo. So a rage virus into canines, big canines. It works! It can be done! We can do this! It can work. I've found a way out of this. You make them war dogs, war wolves. They've been injected, they've been chemically altered, and then they lay siege to a town, and Cujo does stand for something. There's the way. No, they're not doing that. They're readapting Stephen King's novel. But I think that's the best way to go. Let's do that. Oh, Christ. Well, I'll write it myself. Meet Ramsey. I'll give you a call later. Yeah. A couple of them. And we'll discuss it. Yeah. We'll co-write it together. Don't tell Steve about it. Leave him out. What? Oh, he's here. He's here now at yours. Oh, shit. He's been watching my videos. He doesn't like the fact I prefer Kubrick's version of The Shining over his. Oh, tough shit, Stevie boy. His version is better. Anyway, folks, I hope you know what shall be Kilt-Man. Please, in the meantime, let's let's see what happens with the dogs. In between time, please keep it Celtic, and I'm going to see you all. Sunny days. Who let the Cujo out? Hey.